Hello world, you're watching 80s Music Twin Ranked. I'm Joel.
I'm Chris.
And today we're doing the Rolling Stones because Charlie Watts died about 2 weeks ago. He was their drummer. And interestingly, this band had way more members than I thought they did. I thought there was just 5 members their entire career.
Yeah, and they had
There's
2
many
others, but they
Many
were a
musicians.
four-piece band for the last few years. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to it. Top 10.
Top 10!
Just kidding. We're not doing it.
Needless to say, we weren't a huge fan of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, we have them
Here,
at number
there,
63.
63 when you average ours out.
Yeah,
I
so
put
we
them
were
at
not going to
60.
even get to them until next year. If
So-
we're going one band
So
a week.
people have to die if they want our videos quicker.
Yeah, and I mean, there are people who died, like, let's do Tom Petty. He died a couple years ago. But,
considering these musicians were at their peak, 35 years ago?
they
should be
had
dropped.
but they had a lot of hits in 80s.
I know.
35.
What I'm
years
saying is, the bands we grew up with.
It was 35 years ago. Oh my
years
gosh,
ago.
it was.
So you're looking at people that are now dying.
I'm thinking that was only 20 years ago.
And I was mistaken on last week's video. I mentioned that I heard that Mick Jagger turned 80. He's only 78. Charlie Watts died.
Yeah, he was
80.
80. Yeah.
So get the
Still,
dates.
they're up there.
Yes. Now you'll notice, unless you don't look at our chart behind us, you'll notice the chart's different because the Rolling Stones has well over 25 albums.
A lot of albums
per nation in the United States, and then a couple more in the UK because that's where they're from. I don't know if they were originally part of the.
They have over 20 live albums.
Were they part of the British invasion? I know that's with the Beatles, but is that
That might be the second British invasion.
like there's a second wave?
I know there was 2 waves, so
Well,
they
there
might
was-
have been a part of the second.
There was a third wave because when Duran Duran and bands like that came in, that's considered one too. But this was way back. Obviously, you're looking at a band that started in the 1960s. Kind of weird that we're doing a band from the 60s because we go over our mom's house. She's like, yeah, my favorite music is in the 60s. And here's this band starting in the 60s.
Her favorite band should be the Rolling Stones. I know they called them, when Sticky Fingers came out and they went on tour, they were introduced as the greatest rock and roll band in the world. So, I mean, you could argue that that's the case.
You're talking about
6 decades, isn't it? Like
you're talking about a band that went on the Ed Sullivan Show. Now, some of you might be like, "Well, Bill, you had Billy Joel, and he was on the Ed Sullivan Show."
That was a joke. I think Ed Sullivan was dead at that time.
I know that was it's a guy who actually I looked up that guy's IMDb. That's all he's ever done is Ed Sullivan.
Oh, that was an impersonator.
It was an
Okay.
impersonator, and that impersonator's only done Ed Sullivan on 5 different things. Yeah, Billy Joel was not on the Ed Sullivan Show. So I throw that out there. But Rolling Stones were on his show.
Yeah, so the founding member, the leader actually, was Brian Jones.
Right.
And he left in
wasn't even with them for a decade.
He left in 1969. I think he died shortly
same
after
year,
because he became a drug addict or an alcoholic.
I think so. I think something was messing
Yeah, but
with
he
his
was the
career.
leader until they got a producer that told him, hey, you guys should all write songs for the group. And then Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, I looked at their songs that they released, and then both of them, the lyrics, it says, were by Jagger Richards. So they both kind of wrote together.
Yeah.
So they kind of became the leaders.
And after it started, I mentioned a few videos back that we're looking at groups that put an album out every year. And I remember Loverboy saying they kept being pressured to put an album out every year. It's like you need to really take some time on albums, not just throw music out there. Here, Rolling Stones are putting albums immediately out twice a year, 2 albums every year right at the start.
And each album only had like 1 or 2 hits that we recognize anyways.
Now, in the 1960s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 albums in the first decade.
Yeah, so it's like what.
But that's the decade where they had their most #1 hits. So far, the bands we've done, Billy Joel's had the most #1 hits. Not Billy Joel. He had 3. Phil Collins. Phil Collins had 7 #1 hits. They had eight overall. So, new leader. Leaderboard has now changed.
Yeah.
It's Rolling Stones.
So Brian Jones was the leader until Mick Jagger and Keith Richards kind of took over the songwriting. But they also had band members. They had Bill Wyman as the bassist and Charlie Watts as the drum.
Right.
Okay,
And the one we know, Ron Wood.
Ron
didn't
Wood,
come-
he was the third one because Brian Jones quit,
and then
died
Mick
later.
Taylor came on board for less than a decade as well.
Right, and then he was replaced by Ron Wood. And here, this was interesting to me. Okay, this is like that 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon.
Right.
Okay, we talked about Journey, and the drummer that was replaced by Steve Smith
Yes.
was Ainsley Dunsmore. Remember we talked about
Yes.
him? Okay,
Barely.
okay.
But we did.
So Ron Wood was in a band called Faces, which was with Rod Stewart. The song we know that's played on the classic radio is "Stay With Me."
Okay.
Okay, before that, Ron Wood and Rod Stewart were both in a group called Jeff Becker, which had Jeff Beck, and the drummer was Ainsley Dunsmore. So they had a four-member band. So I'm like this.
Nah.
Now the reason I mentioned that for this video is because of Ron Wood. And Ron Wood also played, if you remember the song Rod Stewart put out called Maggie May, there's a little do 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 do
Right.
do 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 do. Yeah, that's Ron Wood playing that. So
Okay. I did not research everything about everybody. There's
no,
too-
I didn't, but
too
I
many
knew
people. But
before
I-
we did this.
You
video.
know they're an English band though. When Brian Jones dies,
Right.
or he leaves, and Mick Taylor, and you got a band that has two guys named Mick in it. That's an English band. If it was a United States, their name would be Mickey, right?
Mike Jagger and Mike Taylor.
Right. so just a really quick rundown on this. So in the 1960s, they got 11 albums out. They had 5 #1 hits. Their very first one was "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." Their first hit was "Time Is On Your Side," which got all the way up to number 6. And so they had 12 top 10 hits. If I went to the top 40, it explodes.
Well, if you're just probably taking the U.S. If you talk the U.K. too.
Yeah, I only did the domestic, right?
Yeah.
Hit the 70s, less out. It's like I think it was 6 albums instead of 11, 3 #1 hits.
And not only song wise, they had 8 albums that were consecutive #1s.
Yeah.
8 consecutive #1 albums. But,
And they had 6 top 10 hits in the 70s. Then they had 1 less album made in the 80s. They had 5 overall albums. Didn't have a #1 hit. Once they get to the 80s, music changes. Now their music is considered not really top 10 material. Had 5 top 10 hits, 0 #1s. So essentially, the career they knew was over. They had to change, and they did. They changed their format enough
Yeah.
to have good songs in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then, interestingly, that is the decade Mick Jagger decides to have a solo career. The 80s. He's with the band 20 full years before he decides, hey, I'm going to try this on my own.
One thing we did mention also with Brian Jones, he's the one that named the band.
Yes.
They were at somebody's apartment, and he looked down. They were into blues and jazz, and somebody had a Muddy Waters, one of his songs. So he must have had I don't know if he had a cassette, but something like that. That was a 1950 song called Rolling Stone. Just like, Rolling Stones, that's how they named the band. So Brian Jones is the one that named it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when it comes to looking at their top best-selling albums, now the best-selling album would be the one you mentioned, Sticky Fingers.
Right.
But they have many albums that have well over 10 million records sold. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they probably blew like Def Leppard.
They've also had the 4 out of the top 5 biggest tours. Like Sticky Fingers is probably one of them. I know Voodoo Lounge.
And I remember thinking, you're looking at this band, you're like, how is that a famous band? Really?
They all to me they look ugly.
Yeah, that's just my personal opinion too. It's like, how are they? And same with Aerosmith.
Yeah.
How are these bands?
And then they get models that they're marrying.
Yeah.
You're like, that's they got money. That's why.
Right. That's he. Now, if you're a movie buff, we'll get to movies here shortly. But he was married to that girl who was.
Who are you talking about?
Mick Jagger.
Okay.
He was married to the girl in the original Batman movie with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. The one he had sat on his lap and he changed her face to look all makeup-y. That was, I forget her name. That was her only part.
I know he was married to Bianca Jagger.
Okay, I don't think it's.
No, it's probably somebody else. I'm sure he
Yeah.
wasn't married to her 2 months.
I mean, I don't believe that was. He was. So that movie comes out. He's in his 40s. I don't believe that was his daughter. If that's his daughter, then man, I'm mistaken. The last name Jagger. I do know that much. So, and
I don't even remember that.
when it comes to movies, onto the movies, Mick Jagger.
He played a villain in one movie that I recall with Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, Free Jack.
Yeah.
Right, with a sci-fi movie. But his debut was back in 1972. He had 2 roles. One of them is from a movie called Performance, and there's a picture in this book called 1001 Movies Before You Die. He's played 2 different characters, and so did Edward Fox. Let me just tell you, that book's title is stupid. I've watched a lot of those movies. I could have done without watching them before I died.
I've seen Citizen Kane. I thought it was really boring.
Yeah. Some of the top movies out there that people do, it's great. It's just like songs.
Gone with the
That's a
Wind.
great movie. It's like, no. So, okay.
Hey, so besides Free Jack, he did Ruthless People. He wasn't in it, but he did
theme
the
song.
theme song for it. We talked about it with.
Yes. I actually listened to it at work this
What were we
morning.
talking about? Billy Joel or Phil Collins?
Billy Joel had Modern Woman because that was my
That's why we
that's
brought-
my number
okay.
1 song for Billy Joel, and you didn't even have
so
it in the top
the credits at the beginning, Ruthless People,
Ruthless People.
by Mick Jagger, solo, not Rolling Stones. He did the song.
And we might as well go this way too. Weird Al did a parody of that called Toothless People.
Toothless People. Oh, okay. So that was Mick Jagger. He also
it
did
wasn't
one-
Rolling Stones.
He did one called Hot Rock Polka, and the whole song is Rolling Stone
Stones,
lyrics.
really?
It's got like 10 songs.
I've
maybe
probably
it might-
heard it, but I didn't.
Yeah, and it starts off with "It's Only Rock and Roll."
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it's entirely Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Hot Rock Polka by Weird Al.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is just an interesting thing. He did Ruthless People, which stars Bette Midler.
Midler.
And Bette Midler has a video. She remade the Rolling Stones song "Beast of Burden."
Beast of Burden, and Mick Jagger does
Jagger's
appear
in the video.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
it's a good tie-in. But Ruthless People came out after that, the Bette Midler song, I believe.
okay, I didn't check the dates.
Okay.
I just know
I
that.
think so. I could be wrong. Then he'll do a breaking news if it's wrong. Right? Now, the people will be more familiar with Keith Richards' filmography,
Right,
even
because
though
he-
it's barely
small, and
it's
but
small.
But it's the last 10, 15 years.
Right, he played Jack Sparrow's dad, right?
In Pirates of the
Caribbean movies with Johnny Depp.
On Stranger
He was the
Tides,
dad.
I think it was on Stranger Tides.
The 3rd and 4th movies.
Oh, he was in 2 of them. Okay.
So yes, he was in 2 of them. The Stranger Tides, was that the 3rd one?
Yeah, that's the 3rd one.
And then
At World's End.
at World's End, yes.
Maybe
Yeah, I think it was flipped.
At World's End was 3rd. Yeah, Stranger Tides was 4th.
Yeah. So and that good choice for a pirate.
Yeah. Then they of course got Keith Richards to play his dad because Johnny Depp famously said he based Jack Sparrow on Keith Richards.
Really, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I just
No,
tell you, I don't know that Keith Richards needed any makeup to make him look like a pirate. With the,
Probably not.
Beaten up face.
So that's the movies we did.
Other than the documentaries about the Rolling Stones.
the famous documentary that the Rolling Stones has from 1970 is called Gimme Shelter, and that famously has a man that was killed
by the Hells Angels.
by the Hells Angels. Hells Angels was their security, and it was a free concert in Altamont, and they had other bands like Graceland with their Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
And one of the Hells Angels actually knocked out the Marty Balin from Jefferson Airplane.
I forgot.
Mick Jagger got hit by a fan on the way to trailer when he got there, and a helicopter.
No, I forgot to look this up, so I'll ask you right here on camera. Were they part of the people that played at Woodstock? I can't remember. You would think so.
I
but
don't think they played at Woodstock.
Right,
I could be wrong.
Maybe it wasn't a British thing.
Breaking news if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But I don't think, I don't recall ever seeing Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of Woodstock references in my brain and I don't remember them being part of the band.
I don't think so either. I didn't look it up though.
Yeah, well, you know, they were British, so that might have been part of it. I mean, a lot of the Woodstock bands were probably
Right.
from America.
Now, I don't think any of the other band members have any movie parts other than documentaries, correct?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So, yeah, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were the only actors.
you know, being not big fans of the Rolling Stones, we're not going to do a historical, detailed analysis like we did of Rush.
There's too many.
And we weren't fans, so we'll just get to our top 10.
We can go back and forth naming songs.
Yeah.
See how many we know. I was like, oh yeah, there was. You know what? Movies. There was a movie. Whoopi Goldberg was in a movie called Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yes.
That does use their
Yes.
song.
And she listened to it.
She listened.
Man, it's got really bad lyrics.
She's
And
trying.
she went
She's
good.
trying to decode something.
Right.
It's a spy movie, sort of.
That's right.
And she's listening, and it's a funny scene. You can find it on YouTube where she's like, "Speak English, Mick," because she's like,
Two lesbians, what?
"That's not what he said." Yeah, it's kind of funny. She's using the cassette.
Movie
tape.
overall stinks.
Yeah,
But there are good
and
scenes
It's
in
funny that she put a cassette in there and play. That's just funny seeing somebody use a cassette instead of CDs or digital.
Yeah, and darn it, I was gonna go somewhere. I can't remember.
There was another song called "Satisfaction." I don't know if that has anything to do. I think it does, but I'm not
With
sure.
Justine Bateman.
Yeah, I think it has to do with I can't get no satisfaction, but I'm not sure. I didn't even look that one up. And I'm like,
Yeah. So, that's what I was gonna say. So we got our top 10 based on, get this, 59 different songs that we knew.
Yeah.
That were either ranked or we knew. Some
yeah,
that
and
were,
there's a lot I listened to. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know I knew. Like 19th Nervous Breakdown. I listened. I'm like, well, it's familiar to me. I didn't think by the title. I'm like, I don't know this one. Yes, I do.
Let me just tell you, similarity-wise, I think the same thing's gonna happen with Led Zeppelin. They don't got a lot of hits or ranked songs, but if we listen to them, like, yeah, I've heard that on the radio.
Are they 90s? They're not a 90s
They're not
band.
90s.
I mean 80s band.
Well, Keith Moon died in 1980, I think.
They might have had their last
Keith Moon's The
album.
Who. John Bonham died
Right.
in 1980, but they put Coda out in 82.
Right.
So they did release some stuff after his death. So, but I don't know that we're gonna do
Yeah,
Led
there are
Zeppelin.
some. We might do them, but we won't call them an 80s band.
No.
They're 70s.
So, anything else non-related?
No, that's
I think
pretty much.
if I got anything else, I think we could do it based on our top 10 list and honorable mentions.
Yeah, so I'm, all right, there's songs I'm a fan of,
So-
there's songs I'm not.
I know people would rank them higher than us, but listen, we're talking about the 80s specifically. If we just pulled the 80s music, I'm not sure we'd have a top 10. Man, they do have a bunch of hits. Not a lot that I care for, though. Like, even the earlier the ones. How do you put out a song, Waiting for a Friend? You ever watch that video?
They have a lot of songs where they do, like, Waiting for a Friend at the end, it goes, do, 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 oh, oh. He's doing that thing with his voice. He does that, like, Hang Fire. At the end. Yeah, there's a lot of songs where they do.
When you're writing a song, how do you decide between doing la la,
and
na,
just-
or doo doo?
Yeah, just doing not normal lyrics.
I don't know.
But they have a lot of songs where he does that, where he's not just doing lyrics, he's just doing something.
That reminds me of Steven Tyler from Aerosmith too. He's got a lot of things that seem like that's not a word. he knows how to do things with his lips that other
Yeah,
people can't
yeah.
because they're so big. I guess I don't know. All right, so this time we're serious. Top 10.
Top 10!
All right, to the top 10, and we'll start with the honorable mention. If I'm correct, your list is only missing one. Mine will be missing 3 songs.
Okay.
Because I always put songs higher than you do. They're like, that shouldn't be up there. Okay, so the one that I picked that's not on the list would, well, actually, one that you have one. So you wanted to include Ruthless People. And I listened to it, and it's not like I think it's a bad song. I don't think it's one of their best. I have it ranked at 18. You had it at 9. I had it, or no, 8.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you did
since
8,
that
I
one
had
is out
18.
of there, the entire top 10 list is now Rolling Stones and no solo career.
Correct. No solo career. However, I had picked also a solo career one that you didn't, and that
Was it
I would say solo, but it wasn't a solo. It was a duet, and that was his duet with David Bowie. It actually is
Dancing in
it
the
actually
Streets.
is a good song. It's not even their own song. It's a remake of a Van Halen song, right?
Yeah.
But I can say, as good as that song is, I think, anyways, we recommend you go check out that video as a silent,
No music.
no music,
Or without music.
with
whatever
these
it's
other
called.
guys adding voices that are hilarious. You watch that, you'll be rolling on the floor. So that's the one I recommend. Even though I like the song, compared to most of the other Rolling Stones
Yeah,
stuff.
I would definitely rank Van Halen's "Dancing in the Streets" much higher than theirs.
Yes.
I think just the guitar they have sounds.
Now, since
Different.
since we're on solo career, I do want to mention when Mick Jagger did his solo career. He, even though I don't care for the song, I mean I kind of like it, but not enough for the top 10. "Lucky in Love" is a video I actually like, and it's where he plays a gangster that went to a casino and then he got shot. But he dresses up pretty good to look like a gangster, which is probably, I think he's also in that movie Performance as a Gangster. So.
One of the memorable videos that I remember, it's a Rolling Stones video where it seems like he plays a gangster too. Undercover of the Night.
Yes.
And that one also has the voice thing he does at the end instead of lyrics.
And I'm not sure that's on the song. If you listen to the single from the actual song, it's not there. It's just in the video that they made.
Oh, really?
I think so. I could be wrong. I don't remember hearing that because also in the video, I mean they don't even take out like when the cars are crashing and the bullets are going.
Oh.
You hear that stuff too. Okay, so and then the other two songs I did have "Jumpin' Jack Flash" in my top 10 and "Hang Fire," but just barely. That's because a lot of the '60s Rolling Stone stuff, even though it's ranked high on the world's list, that's not my kind of music. Okay.
Yeah, and I would say when they put Start Me Up and Hang Fire, that's kind of when their music changed a little bit from the previous.
Right. And Start Me Up, you'll hear at a lot of games.
Oh, and Sticky
Like
Fingers.
basketball games, they'll play Start Me Up so they can get the game
I
started.
believe Sticky Fingers is the first album that had the lips and tongue,
Okay,
too.
thanks.
Well,
Oh, you mean two different album covers?
uh,
Because the one I saw was where they have somebody's jeans and the hand in the pocket.
oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different album. Oh, maybe it was Let It Bleed.
Okay.
There's one that has, they became famous, that kind of became their logo, was the lips and the
Yeah.
tongue coming out. It wasn't a face, it was just
Their
lips and-
albums, you know, I think one of those bands that gets questionable, you know, does that mean something different?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyways. All right, so top 10.
Top
The
10.
number 10. It comes from, it's only rock and roll, and it's the self-titled one song. It's only rock and roll, but I like it, in parentheses. And I had that at 11, you had that at 9, put it at 10.
Right.
Surprise at number 9. I didn't think this song would make it, but you liked it.
I didn't think that song was going to make it. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it's in here. I'm like, I'm glad it is.
But Love is Strong, and I think this might be their last top 100 song. It was like 91 when it came out. From Voodoo Lounge, that would have been their 1994 album. You notice after the 80s, they only had 4 albums. One in 94, 97, and one in the decades following each. Voodoo Lounge, and it was Love is Strong. It's one I forgot that it was a single. I replayed it, I'm like, oh yeah. And then I emailed him and said, hey, late edition, put this on there. And you put that in your top 10, and I had it close enough. Well, I had it at 16. You had it 4. That's how much you like it, number 4. Okay, so that was our number 9 song. Number 8, we go to Some Girls, and I think that was in 1970, the later part of 1970. It's Miss You. And that's probably another one. It's got a good bass part in it.
Yeah.
And I have this one at 13. Again, these 3, I have them outside my top 10, but you have them listed higher up. You had yours at number 6. That's why Miss You is number 8. From Out of Our Heads, their first number 1 single, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. I had this at number 8. You had this at number 10. I remember hearing there was like a poll done on the best guitar riff out there.
Well,
and somebody said it was this song.
I Can't Get No Satisfaction is their top song in the world.
Okay.
For sure.
And it was, I think it was some magazine, it might have been Rolling Stone magazine. I don't know if that's why the magazine started that.
Yeah, but they're not Rolling Stone. They're not the Rolling Stone. They're the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. I think I used to think that magazine
was Rolling Stones.
I can't, but yeah, I think they might have did the poll and found out, not with the variety songs, not the Rolling Stones songs, but with the variety songs, what's the best guitar riff? And I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Well, I thought it was Bob Dylan talking about the band then?
Like
a Rolling Stone.
He could be. I don't know. I think we're gonna do a video on him either. Has he ever had?
Nah, he has, but not popular.
Right. Yeah.
He's always had.
There's another guy.
He's always had a fan base. He would be like Rush. I think. Right. Where like he puts stuff out, people are like, oh yeah, that's stuff all the time.
And there's another guy similar to Rolling Stones, and like if now these guys were making music pre MTV, so. If they started in MTV, maybe they wouldn't be famous because people were like, ugh. But of course they were on Ed Sullivan, so people did get to see him on TV. But maybe they groomed themselves better back then. But Bob Dylan, similar, right? You look at him, yeah. But he's different. These guys at least sound good on some things. Bob Dylan, I do not think is nasally and all. I'd be like annoyed. All right, number 6, finally. This wasn't even a single. And I had this at number 6. You had this at 11. It's Gimme Shelter from Let It Bleed. And this would be one of those songs I use the word haunting kind of song.
Yeah.
With the... I can't do it.
That's an instrument. That's not.
I know it's not a voice, but I'm trying. I don't have an instrument, so I have to use my voice to say it. Okay. All right, number 5. Now, interestingly, I think the rest of the songs come from the 80s. So our top 5 from the 80s when they put their best music out, apparently. Number 5 would be that song you mentioned, "Undercover of the Night." I have this at number 3, and you had it at number 7.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think that might be the only single from that song. If it's not, the other one is not known at all. I might have listened to it and like, what is that? Okay, number 4, Harlem Shuffle. I had this at number 4, you had it at number 5. This is our first song from the album Dirty Work. And they're not even from America. They're from England, and they're white guys, and they're trying to tell people how to do the Harlem Shuffle.
Is there a Harlem in the UK?
Because if Harlem is known for being a black neighborhood, how are British white guys telling them how to do a shuffle? That's my 2 cents. All right, number 3 from Steel Wheels. Their last good at, well...
Corn Dogs.
Yeah, I think it's the last. Even though you like Love Is Strong, Voodoo Lounge wasn't that great.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those... and we do that. We mentioned this before. Maybe it was with Ari Speedo or what bands did was they got a couple good songs, and the rest of it you release two good songs so that you just get money.
Yeah, and that's weird. And you look at all these some of these other bands, and it's all good, like Hysteria. So they wanted to make the whole thing good because they released 7 of the songs.
I've heard some albums where I'm like, that song is terrible, terrible, terrible. And you come to the 2 releases, the only good ones, I'm like, how is their quality so different?
Or how their next album does just as good. If everyone knew
Yeah,
the
they
whole
knew.
album was crap except for those 2 songs, why are you still buying their albums? I don't know. Okay, so I didn't even mention the title, even though we got off on it. Okay, number 3, you had as your number 1 song, and I had it as 5 from
It's from
Steel
Steel
Wheels,
Wheels.
Mixed Emotions. And this was ranked at number 5. So this was their last high-ranking top 10 song. Okay, next, number 2, my number 2 song, your number 3 song, back to the Dirty Work album. This is One Hit to the Body. And 2 and 1 sound similar. If you
Yeah,
listen to
and they're
them.
really good rock songs.
Yeah, and I don't know which one. Do you have? Now, obviously, I'm not going to listen to 25 albums. What do you have a favorite? And have you heard all the Rolling Stones albums?
Of the albums?
Yes.
Do I have a favorite? No.
Can you, when they only release, they're putting out 25 albums? Who's listening to all of them? You ever wait for the greatest hits for sure, right? And
Yeah.
it's a double album.
I haven't heard any of their albums.
I've heard. I listened to all of Steel Wheels and all of Dirty Work. I actually think I like Dirty Work better, even though my top song's off of Steel Wheels. So One Hit to the Body is number 2, and then our number 1 song. Again, both of us ranked this song higher than that previous one. So you had this at number 2, and I had it at number 1. For number 1 is Rock in a Hard Place, and this is what I think it surprised both of us. You know, where we're watching the video and we realized Mick Jagger could actually play electric guitar.
Right.
I don't remember, up until watching that video, I don't remember that he ever played an instrument. So we realized from Rockin' a Hard Place, I think it's Rockin' a Hard Place, not One Hit to the Body, that Mick Jagger played electric guitar.
Right.
Not sure if he played any of the solos or just did the, you know.
If you type in Rolling Stones in Wikipedia, it brings up the band. Right there is a picture of him with a guitar.
Yeah.
live on stage. So
Well, most of it, even from his solo stuff, most of his stuff, he's not playing an instrument.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you said he also did what?
Played a harmonica
Okay.
and percussion, but harmonica spread.
Yeah. If you're gonna listen to "Miss You" later on, there's the harmonica. It's a harmonica solo. So a guitar solo. I mean, sure they had a guitar solo. I can't remember.
And that's another thing. Back in the 80s, not only did you have guitar solos, which don't exist anymore practically, you had saxophone solos and quite a bit of harmonica songs.
Right.
Billy Joel had a harmonica song, Leave a Tender Moment Alone.
Huey
Huey
Lewis,
Lewis
yeah.
did that. I know there's others.
Yeah. Anybody sitting in a jail cell? In the Old West, anyways. You get them, they pick up a harmonica and learn it.
Right. So that's our top 10 for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And next week, your hint is he's Canadian. There you go.
Yeah. But it's not Justin Bieber. He was in the 80s anyways. He
Yeah.
was probably born in... No, he wasn't even born in the 80s.
He might have been
He's too young.
born. I don't even think he was born in the 90s myself. But is he? Well, it's not. It's 2021. So is he over? Is he born in 21?
He's probably in the 90s.
Okay, 90s, late 90s then.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it's not him. And if he was in the 80s, would he be in there anymore? Would we want to do him? I don't know that I like his music now.
No,
so-
I mean... No, we're not going to do Justin Bieber.
Yes.
I mean, if we were two schoolgirls, maybe we would.
Does Justin Bieber know how to play an instrument?
Yeah, he
Okay,
does. I think
I
that's how he
remember that.
was found by his the guy who discovered him. I think
Okay.
he was on YouTube. He was playing a guitar and singing.
Okay, well at least he has that similarity to the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
we're gonna do it next week. So, but his music, this guy, the one we're gonna do, his music's better. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.